So I'm just gonna do a video of kind of what my stats are, so maybe somebody can follow along these other videos because it's gotten very disorganized very quickly, and I may fix some of it, but I'm not gonna fix all of it because I'm just trying to help people. I'm not really uh, trying to. I mean, I want a channel that grows, but I'm not. I don't know what the answer is exactly. I don't want it to become my objective. Star Citizen and other things are more important. I just want this to grow some. Anyway, so um, there it is. So what we're looking at is card 2, 6600 XT, which is 8 gigs of VRAM, and 7600 number 2 is my number 1. It's the primary. Let me get fraps out so you can't see my email again. uh, uh, where am I going with that? Where was I telling you? They're both on 8. If you pay attention, they're both at on an 8 bus. And this one says it's at 4. That's probably because my because of my M2, my SSD. But it might just be it does that to fix the timer tick or whatever. It really doesn't matter to me because it's not like at 4 the card, even with Star Citizen, like I think I did it at 4K or something down to because I've only got a 1080p monitor, so I don't think I need any more bandwidth than that. But anyway, they both work is the point. So I'm rendering from the XT right now, and when I do that, you'll notice there's what 2 gigs of memory. I'd say about half of that is from the recording, but there's always about 1.2 in there or something like that when something else goes on over here. Now you could say that's just Windows, but if Windows is doing that right, that means Vulcan has been doing that right. Um, but it works in Star Citizen now, which is it hasn't been working for me until just this last week. So I don't know. Maybe I did a BIOS, didn't I? It's only been a year, and I usually go a year in between retrying Star Citizen because it's great, but at the same time it ran so poorly before that, compared to other games with this same hardware. But I went from a 6600 just to the 7600 just to make sure that it wasn't like a DirectX 12 thing or a new architecture on the GPUs that was making Star Citizen suck because it was hanging all the time. Well, now it's using both of them, and my tick is right, so my CPU is right in Windows 12 11 Pro. So the game is buttery smooth, unless the server is lagging. I mean, buttery smooth like you can get 300 frames. Sometimes, if your card can do it, disconnected from the tick rate, and then only problems that you're dealing with at that point are essentially like when the server tick rate messes up, for example, and you get server lag, or there are some places still where it's poorly optimized, but like Lorville, for example, you can see it trying to struggle with two cards in there, whereas just a week ago with one card in there, it didn't just struggle. It would like it it would cause main thread to go impossibly bad. Like it would just bog down the whole computer. And the second card, you could argue isn't even barely being used on, and some of that's recording, but just having that available to Windows changes this entirely. And then having the frames drawn here and sent through here um, also frees up compute and 3D for Windows to do other things. Like, for example, though you won't believe it, I can prove it, and there are videos to prove it. I'll do this later. You can run lossless scaling, and you can witness that it's all being run on the second GPU. So if you want to make frames, you can separate them from what your driver is doing as far as is not everything, but as far as making fluid frames. Okay, you can turn that off, and you can do the super resolution. You can turn it off in game, and you can do it in lossless. So you can separate your cards and what they're doing. And on the, like I said, on this 4 bus right here, and it's still rendering. So, look, I'm getting 400 on, yeah, it's still rendering. Some of that was that too. Oh, that's just okay. Um, Now I'm gonna switch to here. We can render from here. That's even funnier. So Windows is I've got Windows forcing that one. So even tech, this is rendering from um, it's I've changed it to the 76, but it's still doing it on the 6. So Windows is even more is going to split that even more if there's more complex stuff going on. Like cuz even GPU-Z can't tell the difference. Are you following me? So with DirectX on and Star Citizen, it will detect both of them, and maybe that utilizes it better. That's why I'm testing, because I don't know if keeping it separate or letting Star Citizen do it and Windows do it, for example, is better. It's probably better. It's going to end up being better if it ain't already, but it doesn't matter because if you don't let go of this, and I've got all this video confirmation, I can always come back here. I know how I got here. AMD and DirectX and Vulkan and Windows and Star Citizen are not taking this away from us. They're not going to hide it behind some new TM registered trademark bullshit. It's not happening. Of course, I don't know. Maybe they're not even trying to do that. I'm not blaming anybody, but I've seen it in the past, and I'm not seeing it again. Anyway, that's that. Also, just for so you can see, Vulkan is DirectX 12 on both of them. Sam is on both of them, and then Vulkan. They both look like this or similar to this, and they can all see each other as far as a shared swap for example, using optimizing shaders. You could just pick wherever it needs to go, unlike Star Citizen can use the main card for example, the one that's connected to the HDMI cable, right? And put some amount of memory there that is only needed to draw the frame or buffer the frame, or for example, I don't know, do something in the background with the um, not 3D, but maybe compute or compute one or compute zero or high priority compute. Yeah, I think that one, like, it tags up like all the time as the secondary, right? On the secondary, whichever one happens to be the secondary. The point is, multi GPUs are working in Windows, and just because they're working in Windows is because it was working. Then Star Citizen can make it work. But what I'm telling you is, it works all the way down to Vulcan, and they're not gonna be able to stop it without Windows or somebody above them pulling another fucking trick, whatever trick they have up their sleeve. I don't know. There's lots of them. I've seen them, like using an old card architecture to and then acting like it's a new one, or that you can unlock cores that they had. I mean, come on, guys. You're trying to take away functionality of hardware that you've already sold. No, no, thank you. Anyway, there's the info. Fail. There's the info on the car, on the CPU, blah blah blah. I mean, everybody knows that kind of stuff. That's my main board that I've got right now. It says 4. I don't know why, because in the main board it usually says 8 and 8. I don't know why it would do that right now. I guess the render's up, or probably because they're fighting over it. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think I'm even saturating a 4. I I think you got to get into like high resolutions to saturate the 4, which is what I'm showing with some of my videos. Once I get up to like 4K VSR'd into 1080p or whatever. But for example, I can go to like a couple higher steps up and still have 60 frames like in game, before I'm doing anything with the driver or the other cards or anything like that. Anyhow, hopefully this helps somebody. And these are all the locations you could have Vulcan swaps based on whether or not they're visible and coherent to each other, blah blah blah. Like, they don't all connect everywhere, but they all connect to the adjacent one, which means that strange pipelines with very small amounts of lag to like a main thread or the render thread, or possibly the GPU utilization or the frame creation. They're all anyway. The main thread and the render thread in Star Citizen specifically, because I don't. Last time I did multi GPUs, it was SLI and Crossfire and and none of the games really. See, at that time, it was just having the power of two cards to push it one game, not a game that really uses two cards. It's two cards recognized as one. And that's not what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with two cards recognized by 24 different cores and 12 different shared float integers. Anyhow, I hope that's helpful.